All right. Hello, Dolphin fans, and welcome to a impromptu quick show here. I was working, get some stuff done here at the casa, and go to check my phone, and I see Jonnu Smith's face, and I see Adam Schefter, and I'm developing, and I'm like, what the hell is this about? Breaking news: the Miami Dolphins have had trade discussions with the Pittsburgh Steelers regarding star tight end Jonnu Smith, because Jonnu Smith wants a new deal. Dolphins don't feel inclined to get a new deal done, so they're looking to move Jonnu Smith, who wants to stay in Miami. That's the report. He wants to stay in Miami, but Miami does not want to pay him, so now they're exploring trade options and going on from there. Pittsburgh, who has a plethora of tight ends, according to their fan base, who are not too happy about this report, as Miami fans aren't happy because we don't want to lose Jonnu. Pittsburgh saying, wait, we have too many tight ends. But Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's why Pittsburgh wants to reunite Jonnu with Arthur Smith. This is crazy. We're on the eve, possibly, or I guess 2 days, possibly, from trading Jalen Ramsey, our star corner, who doesn't want to be here, which makes sense. You don't want to be here? Goodbye. It sucks. We're better with you than we are without you, but we got to move on. Jonnu Smith, who was one of our only, with Devon Achane, one of our few bright spots on offense, wants to stay in Miami, wants to play for the Miami Dolphins, wants a new deal in order to extend that career with Miami, and Miami says, not so fast. We like you, Now, this all could be for naught. Miami could turn around and get a deal done. Maybe not for as much as Jonnu would like, but Jonnu deserves to be paid. Last year alone, 88's my favorite number. 8, whatever you want to call it. And, that dude was 8 across the board. 88 receptions, 884 yards, 8 touchdowns. The dude was one of our most consistent offensive weapons for the Dolphins, no matter who was at quarterback. And he was a very good leader for Miami. But now we are discussing trading him to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is big in regards to 2 different things. Not just because Jonnu's a very good player. What's up, Sammy? My brother Sammy from Fins TV. I appreciate you tuning in, my man, commenting there. I'm with you, my brother, beside myself as well. Good afternoon, man. But not just because he's a good player, not just because he wants to stay with the Dolphins and we want him to stay in Miami. I figured, hey, if they didn't work out a deal, maybe next year would be the year they decide to move on. Maybe they get a trade done or they draft a rookie, whatever. But they didn't do that. Now it looks like they might move him on before this coming season, which you need all the help you can get on offense, on defense, and above. It's just it's a crappy situation for the Dolphins, because right now the cornerback room, which we're about to trade Jalen Ramsey, is our biggest need. It's the biggest hole we have on this roster, in my opinion. Some others may disagree with me, and if you do, please throw them in the comments there. And just a shout out too, we're on FTSN Extra right now. For those who are tuning in on Extra, I appreciate you guys watching and joining me here. Do me a favor, if you are, hit that like and subscribe button. And, we got a lot of great content coming onto this channel. Different kind. We got sports, of course. We got Dolphins. We got Heat. We got Marlins. We got Panthers coming up really shortly. Baseball, wrestling. But we also have stuff that's a little bit extra. We got Steve Malloy's coming in, maybe possibly. Hasn't been announced yet, but with some from workout routines and strength and conditioning stuff, which is really cool. Talking about possibly doing with my dude Josh Kimmel, my tag team partner in No Holds Barred, talking about a paranormal mystery show, talking about different stuff like that. There's a lot of fun stuff coming. Dull's Diaries will be coming back shortly. There's a lot of cool things coming here on FTSN Extra. But do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're not on it yet. Come on over, hit the subscribe button, and enjoy the shows. So anyway, this move with Jonnu, I just wanted to jump on here quickly, get my 2 cents in here, and then I'll also talk about possibly what this could mean for Miami, because the cornerback room right now is the biggest hole for the Dolphins. But if you trade Jonnu Smith, that's right there with you. That's right there with the cornerback room. Who's going to, when you trade Jalen Ramsey eventually post June 1st, you're looking at, Cam Smith, who can't stay healthy, just got injured the other day, which sucks for him in his third year, who needs to prove something. We got Jason Marshall, who we drafted out of Florida, Kader Kohu, Storm Duck, and so forth. We're going to cheer for those guys. We're going to wish them success. We're going to bang the table and pray and go crazy for them on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, whenever they're playing, and root for the best because they are Dolphins. We're going to cheer our Dolphins team, right? But when you read that on paper, you're going, oh my gosh, that cornerback room is, what the hell? What are they going to do? Are they going to get that Asante Samuels coming off an injury? Are we going to go get that DJ Reed or whomever? Are we going to make a trade possibly? Maybe. We'll see. But right now, that's a concern. You trade Jonnu Smith, now the tight end room's right there too. We got Julian Hill, who, that's a wait and see project, but I know a lot of players love him. They talk very highly of him. And whenever you hear the players talk about Julian Hill, it's always it's always a lot of good stuff. Of course, we have not seen that on the field yet. Then you got Pharaoh Brown, who we signed from Seattle. And then you got the undrafted free agent. My mind is escaping me. Maybe someone could throw it in there if it helped me. I think it's not Conklin. Let me see if I have it here. Maybe I do. Pharaoh Brown. Jalen Conyers, who was drafted out of Texas Tech. So that you got those guys there. But again, just like the cornerback room, it's a head scratcher. There's nobody there that you're going, okay, I feel really good about this tight end room. Unless they're planning on moving Nick Westbrook, who we just signed from Tennessee, over to the tight end spot. So not only are you going to lose Jonnu Smith if you make this trade, you're going to trade away someone who was consistently there for you, whether that was Tua at quarterback, Skyler, whomever. No matter who was out there, Jonnu Smith was the most consistent player on offense next to Devon Achane. You're going to lose that and set yourself back up on offense in the tight end room, who, there's no immediate succession plan there. I mean, you would hope that would be the case. You would hope that maybe Julian Hill may surprise everybody, live up to expectations, and go from there. Like we would hope that that would be the case for Cam Smith, but that's a tall ask. Miami showed last year, after a year before, people were wondering, man, Mike McDaniel doesn't like to have tight ends. He had Mike Gesicki, didn't do anything. The year before, after that, he didn't have anything. They go and get Jonnu. It shows, hey, wait, Miami actually knows how to coach up a tight end. They actually know how to make him, they know how to use him in an offense and everything. Okay, great. Let's go get another tight end. There's a few of us that talked. I was talking about the kid out of my goodness, we're talking about that small school kid in the draft. I'm losing his mind now. I'm losing my mind right now with his name. But we were talking about the kid out of Penn State as well. There's a few guys. We were talking about rookie tight ends. If Miami had any inkling they weren't going to extend Jonnu, then they should have went and acquired a tight end some point into the draft. Instead of getting 3 DTs or whatever, they could have got a tight end here, there, or whatever. They didn't do it. Now, how does this help Miami? Does this help Miami? Is it more strictly about not paying him? We know what it might do for Miami in regards of trading Jalen Ramsey, but how would this help Miami in regards of trading Jonnu Smith? Let's see here. Hopefully I could get this right here. Barry Jackson, Dolphins will add up to $28 million in cap space if they acquire a pick in a trade for Jonnu Smith, who wants a new deal while seeking a trade partner if he doesn't get one. Okay, and problem is there is not enough good players out there worth the money to keep the team a playoff contender. Yeah, there's not enough guys to replace him with that would keep them in that conversation. And again, Miami might just go back to where they don't really have to rely on a tight end. They go and just try to stick with blocking, which Pharaoh Brown can do. Julian Hill could possibly be that weapon if he knows how to hold on to a ball. That $28 million also factors in, of course, by the trade of Jalen Ramsey, which is expected obviously post June 1st. So let me go ahead, see if there's any recent updates here. Of course, everybody on the Dolphins Twitterverse is going mad right now over this deal. I mean, it's tough. It doesn't make any sense. This is a guy, again, this is the tweet from Adam Schefter. The Dolphins have had trade discussions with the Pittsburgh Steelers about their lone Pro Bowl selection last season, tight end Jonnu Smith, who went, again, 88 receptions, 884 yards, 8 touchdowns. These talks came after Jonnu expressed interest in reworking his deal that is scheduled to pay him $4.8 million this season. With Jonnu seeking a new contract, Miami has sought a trade partner. Last season, Smith set the franchise record for tight end in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Smith's preference per sources is to stay in Miami under a new deal. He set the franchise record for receptions, yards, and touchdowns for tight end. He wants a new deal, a new contract, a reworked deal, and he wants to stay in Miami. But Miami's saying no dice. Miami wants to trade him. They don't want to pay the new money, so they want to go ahead and move him on, and that's why they're talking to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Honestly, because that he wants to stay there, because I don't think for a minute that it's gonna, re-signing him is gonna blow you out of the water cap wise. He wants to stay in Miami, and what it will do if you trade him, unless Miami is seen in the short amount of time that they just started OTAs and offseason workouts, they've seen enough from our other tight ends going, okay, we could do this deal, we could work it out, we could trade him out. If they've seen enough, hey, okay, I guess. Obviously, Miami fans have not. And so this is a huge risk. And again, this is not a good look for Chris Greer. If you had expected for a minute that you were not going to extend Jonnu Smith, if and when he continued to ask you for a new deal, because he loves Miami, apparently. He loves the Dolphins. He's getting on podcast, with our friends over at the dive bar. He's hitting it up with the fans, hanging out with his teammates. I mean, he's a great representation of the Dolphins, on the field, off the field, all of the above. He's your lone Pro Bowl player from last season. That means your only bright spot from the team that shit the bed last year. This is your best player who did everything he could and often on the field. And he's going to say, hey, man, can we work out a new deal so I could stay here? I want to be here. And no. And you have to ask the question, okay, then what's the plan? If you're not willing to work with Jonnu on a new deal, what's the plan to replace him? Because if you're talking to me about Julian Hill or an undrafted free agent or Pharaoh Brown, and you're saying like, hey, trust me. No. Why the hell would I trust you? It's a what have you done for me lately? I haven't seen enough from those guys, and not saying those guys can't surprise us. We don't know that. Of course they could surprise us. Jonnu Smith surprised us, even though he showed that he could be a reliable tight end in his other facets of his career in different stops. But he was the best player for Miami last year, the most consistent player next to Devon Achane. But we're not going to keep him. We're not going to make him happy and extend him for what I would think is not a deal that's going to kill you. This is a masterclass of dysfunction from Chris Greer and the Dolphins. It just never ends. Don't get me wrong. The Jalen Ramsey stuff, I'm fine with. It is what it is. He wants to be gone, be gone. It's all good. Thank you for your service. Move on. But Jonnu, one of our better players, should be a captain come next season if he's on this roster. Most consistent, best player in offense next to Devon Achane. Wants to be here. You keep him. That's it. You figure it out. You want to win next year, right? That's the deal. You don't want to tank, right? Because if you did, You wouldn't have extended Tua last year. You wouldn't have extended Tyreek for whatever dumb reason you did that. You didn't need to do that, but you did it. You never would have done that. If you wanted to give, crap the bed this year and purposely give it all up, if you really want to win, you extend Jonnu. You bring him back, whether that's for 2 more years, and then go get his replacement next year in the draft. Maybe. It's hard to figure out a reasoning for this. What's up, Steve? Steve Malloy of Real Talk Fins Talk airs live on FTSN on Tuesday nights. I'm sure he has plenty to say, and we'll have plenty to say next Tuesday. Miami Dolphins Miami Dolphins do have the money. Brandon Shore said no. Whoever said no. I don't care if it's the Dolphins front office, whether it's Brandon Shore or Chris Greer or whomever the hell they have back there. Makes no sense whatsoever. But hey, again, I'm speaking on from the outside in. I don't know what they see, what we don't see, right? I only talk about what I've seen. And again, I'll I'll bang that table, kill the dead horse, or beat the dead horse, whatever the hell the saying is. Most consistent, best offensive player on our roster last year next to Devon Achane, wants to stay in Miami. Great player on the field and off the field, a great representation of the team, should be a team captain if he stays on the roster. You get that deal done. Those are the guys you keep. Those are the guys that will give you 110% from start to finish, game 1 to game 17. You're in the playoff contention or you're not. They don't quit on the team halfway through the game before the season's over. I'm done. You guys deal with it. I'm sorry. Let's keep that guy. Let's give him all the praise. Let's go ahead and extend him. Let's go ahead and leave him on the team. Call him a team captain. But the guy who actually gives 110% every game of the season is your best offensive player consistently, wants to stay here, not going to break the bank. I don't give a damn. I'd be shocked if he wants to break the bank. Just wants to stay in Miami, get a rework deal, which he deserves. We're going to tell him no. No, we're good, bro. We're going to trade you. We'll move you on. Send you over to Pittsburgh so you could kill us at the end of the season. I don't know. There's just I can't find any reason to defend this development if it goes down. If this deal goes down, I don't know what's the silver lining? What could they get? What draft pick could they get? As Barry Jackson has said, it could be with the trade of Jalen Ramsey eventually going to go down as we foresee. That could leave Miami with about $28 million in cap if Miami gets a draft pick in a deal for a Jonnu Smith. But if we're going to get possibly a high-end third-round pick for Jalen Ramsey, is it a fifth-round pick for Jonnu? Fourth? I don't know. Do we get a player? They have a lot of tight ends over there. Do we swap tight ends? Do they love Jonnu so much that they're willing to give Miami a late pick and maybe Darnell Washington out of Georgia? I like Darnell. He could block. He could catch. Maybe I could defend that. Maybe I'd be down with that. If we could get that type of deal done. I don't expect it though. It's just something, it never ends. I was counting down the days. I was like, I don't have to do any shows today. I'll probably East 10th Street Boys later tonight, depending on Alex's schedule and what I've got going on. But I wasn't expecting to do anything. I was like, okay, it's boring when Miami land. We got content creators taking on the journalists and, all that fun stuff. And, we got all that going on and, different things like that, but nothing really we have Mike Daniel talking gibberish yesterday. I don't know what that was about the Jalen Ramsey. He's sick of that situation. He wants to focus just on the players in the roster. He doesn't want to talk about Jalen Ramsey. He doesn't want to be here. That's not what he said, but that's basically what he said. Drew, blah, 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 whatever the hell he was saying. So I was just chilling out. And then again, look at my phone, Jonnu Smith. I'm like, are you serious? That's literally what I said. I said, are you freaking serious? Tati, my wife, was, what? I said, are you kidding me? Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here, guys. I don't want to miss out. Okay, here we go. If Miami and Jonnu, if the Dolphins trade Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, 4 picks, draft picks, after June 1st, the Dolphins will be top 12 in the league in 2025, dead money, and top 4 in the league in 2026, dead money. Some of what is simple misfortune, Ramsey accident out, that's not misfortune. That's not like, oh, well, they couldn't have expected that. That was coming. That was bound to happen. I disagree with that. I'm a big fan of Barry Jackson. Love his work. This is Barry talking this, but I don't agree that that's some kind of misfortune on the Dolphins. That's on Miami. That whole situation too. You decided to make a move for that player. You decided to go after Jalen Ramsey because you believed, or you're trying to cut a shortcut to get a championship window, and you knew damn well, really, there was no you didn't know apparently that there wasn't really a foundation to win. You want to make all these splashes and hope to kind of sneak your way in there. Miami loves to make shortcuts. It's not about development, it's shortcuts. The guys we develop, we trade or let them walk. I don't believe in that misfortune. They took the risk. They traded for Jalen Ramsey, and they knew who he was. He was injured when they first got him. He came in. He wasn't the same player last year. Now he wants out because you couldn't win, drama, all that bull crap. You move him out. It's not misfortune. You suck. It was a sucky situation. You got a player who should have been in a winning situation. You didn't get him. Brett from Canesware, partner of FTSN, host of the Canesware podcast here on FTSN, says, hey, this does not make any sense. No, it does not, sir. It does not make any sense whatsoever. I wish I could paint a pretty picture and help you make it make sense, but I'm truly shocked by this development. Nobody expected this. I was like, we're good to tight end. I wasn't comfortable with the back end of the tight end room, but I was comfortable with the tight end room because of Jonnu Smith and because of what we have at receiver and everything else. But this is a tough pill to swallow. So we will wait to see what goes down. We're only a couple days away from June 1st. Is this a deal that gets done beforehand? I don't know. But it's realistic enough for an Adam Schefter to tweet it on ESPN. And of course, this now has been confirmed by Miami media that this is a deal that Miami is talking about possibly doing with the Steelers on Jonnu Smith. I don't know how. I'm not going to be comfortable with our tight end room. I had Miami at 9-8 this season. Right now, it's early on. I know the off season's not over, so I will always say that until we get to the preseason. But at this point, I'm at 9-8. Once we see how they respond to the departures of Jonnu and Jalen Ramsey, if Jonnu is traded, unless they could rework out a deal, which would be the best in all news. Once that deal is done, how do they respond? And that's how we will adjust, or how I will figure out what I think the final win column is going to be. Finn, Sammy in the house. Jonnu is gone. It's a question of when, not if. You can't put the toothpaste back inside the tube now. You can't. It can't. I know he put that little nugget in there saying, he wants to stay there. Hopefully, and people are saying, "Oh, I hope he works out a deal." But again, it has to be too far gone, or too real in a certain stage, right? Pittsburgh and Miami must be really in deep discussions if Adam Schefter is reporting it, and Miami media is confirming it. So I'm with you, Sammy. I guess I'll just use that phrase, right? If and when it goes down, until it actually happens. But you're right. I get it, brother. Dude. I don't know, man. I don't know. And Steve says, who else are we going to trade? Dude, I don't know. I have names in my head who I would trade, but that looks like they're staying. It's what it is. But it's just the wheel keeps turning for the Miami Dolphins. Again, I should be back, I think, tonight on East 10th Street Boys on the FTSN main channel, FTSN Extra. We should have tonight Real Talk Wrestling with Josh Kimmel, Chris, and Clutch. So do me a favor, guys. If you are not on this channel yet, do me a favor, select the link, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notifications bell. Again, let me just give you a quick summary of what FTSN Extra is going to be about. So obviously, we're going to talk Dolphins. We're going to talk sports, Miami sports, sports in general. We got Panthers content coming soon from Will of 305 Sports Now, possibly Finstanza. I was just talking to Will about that this morning. But we got new shows coming up. You know, there's new shows in development, original content. First off, College Blitz. I'm very excited. I announced that yesterday. College Blitz, our college football podcast with Russ Morgan and Q of the I Hate Football podcast. They will be hosting that show on Friday nights. Right now, it is like a bi-weekly show, or as news breaks. And then as the season goes, it'll be a weekly show. We got Steve Malloy has a show in development currently that he's potentially going to be working on. And it's something that's just, and again, when I say extra, you know, it's sports, entertainment, fantasy, more. There'll be different types of things. Obviously, Dull's Diaries is going to come back. Courtney Dull, she is amazing. She talks everything. She talks Dolphins, Heat, Panthers. She'll be coming back on shortly. You got Overtime, Finn's Talk Overtime with Brett, Evan, and Greg. And then Josh Kimmel, of course, Real Talk Wrestling, got the Fantasy Football, Fantasy Now Plus is on here as well. And of course, like I said, yeah, you know, this is kind of like a little pet project. This is something I love to do on the side, and I am a fan of. And then Josh Kimball's like, dude, I love that stuff. And my sister will be participating as well. Maybe on the back end will be called Phantom Files, which is very exciting. We haven't decided on which day we're going to do it yet. But if you love, ghosts, you know, and conspiracies and haunted mysteries and mysteries histories or whatever the hell, check out that show when it comes out. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about personal experiences, other experiences. We have so much fun stuff going on here. The wheel keeps turning, at least in my head. But I appreciate you all. Thank you all for taking this time and hanging out with me, talking this crazy news about the Miami Dolphins. We will wait and see how this continues. Does a deal get done? As Sammy says, it's not if, it's when it gets done. So when it does get done, don't forget to check us out on FTSN. I'm sure we'll have a breaking news. You got Finn's Faithful Pod. You have with George, Finn's Faithful Pod. He'll be talking about that with Sarni, of course. You got Sammy on Finn's TV. You got a new venture coming up soon as well. And possibly, I think he hinted at a website. So I'm excited to see what he has going on over there. Guys, we got a lot of stuff going on here at FTSN. Hit that like and subscribe button. Go check out our friends on the other channels. Dive Bar, Finn's TV, Finn's Faithful, all the above. Like and subscribe. And most importantly, Dolphin fans, I know it's hard, but always, most importantly, Fins up.